when I approached Pamela, I got turned down within an hour, and which was record time of rejection. But I knew that maybe in that short amount of time, she probably didn't get to read it. So when she read the script, she was so excited for the opportunity and really bursting at the seams to sort of express herself as a dramatic actress.
Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. In this episode, a seasoned showgirl deals with the closing of her act in director Gia Coppola's drama, The Last Showgirl. The film tells the story of Shelly, a Las Vegas showgirl who's performed with the same act for much of her career. When she's told the show will be closing in the coming weeks, she struggles to cope with the impending change at her place in life. In addition to The Last Showgirl, Coppola's other directorial credits include the feature films Palo Alto, Mainstream, and The Seven Faces of Jane. Following a screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Coppola spoke with director Francis Ford Coppola about filming The Last Showgirl. Listen on for their spoiler-filled conversation.
Thank you so much, and welcome to a discussion of this, The Last Showgirl film. The director is here with me, Gia Coppola.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays, and we'll start. I'll start right off with a question to kick it off. Making this film in a record amount of time, how were you able to really get with and rehearse the actors to help prepare them? Because as we know, the situation in motion pictures is it costs the same to rehearse as to shoot, so they want you to shoot. So you always have to steal some rehearsal. How were you able to do that? Because clearly this is a performance piece. The performances are so interesting and beautiful. How did you do it?
Well, with this project, we made this film in 18 days. We thank you. And because I really wanted Jamie Lee Curtis to be in this movie, and in order to get her to do it, I promised that we could consolidate her role into 4 days. And on top of that, we had to push our pre-production schedule into the holidays last year. So we were doing all of our pre-production during Christmas, and then we had to start. We went out to Vegas January 1st, which was my birthday, and started shooting January 4th, I believe. So it was very complicated, mad dash. But I think part of getting Pamela signed onto the project, there was maybe like 8 months in between. I met her when I was 9 months pregnant. And then I had my son, and sort of in between that time, her and I talked a lot about her character and the story, and we shared images, and for her, she was so excited for the opportunity and really bursting at the seams to sort of express herself as a dramatic actress. She felt like she never really got to utilize her kind of creative energy, so to speak, in that way. And so, and the script is originally a play, so she really memorized and ingrained the material into her as though it was a play. So for me, so much was sort of trying to just get her to let go of the script and just kind of embody it. But we did little things that I've learned from you, like on weekends, I had the cast go to Pamela's house and have her cook vegetable soup and teach all the younger dancers sort of how to make different carrots and celery and kind of have that.
That's what I was looking for, because basically when you get a group of actors together, just reciting the text and doing the script over and over again is not really rehearsal. In fact, Marlon Brando always says he really hopes the first time he says the actual lines from the text is when they shoot it, because he thinks that first time you say something is the first time you said it. And then just running it over like, what people think theater rehearsal. Theater rehearsal is not quite that either. It's getting together with the actors and, you can't do anything wrong environment, and playing theater games and doing improvisations. And that I find what you said very interesting, because they would go to Pamela's house and they would cook together and enjoy the food and be together, which is a way probably where those characters first emerged.
Well, I remember you saying from The Godfather, you had all of them rehearse by having them set the table and where they position.
The first time they ever met each other in The Godfather, of course, everyone was terrified and excited to meet Marlon. But the first time all the actors met each other was I arranged for a room in a restaurant, and I set it up like a home dining room table, and Marlon just showed up and put him at the head of the table, and to his right was Pacino, to his left was Jimmy Caan, and then Tom Hagen was there, and Johnny Casale, and my sister Tally was serving the food, and they just had dinner together. And by the time that dinner was finished, they were all the characters, and so it seems like you did the same thing.
Yeah, I remembered that story, and I tried to emulate it with as much as I could with vegetable stew.
Well, that's good for all the new directors in the room, is that when you do, they always break for lunch. But the truth of the matter is they shouldn't. They should break after lunch, because it's that time when they eat together and ask them to do an improv while they're having lunch, because any improv you do seems to stick better if it has a sensual component, which is eating or dancing or something sensual. It sort of sticks really well and affects and helps the actor find the character. So would you think that you had a lot on your mind? Clearly, you had to shoot this film in so much time, but you knew it was going to be the performances that would. I assume you knew that, because the performances are what makes it come alive.
Do you know that when you're making? I feel like I didn't know.
The most important thing of movies is the writing and the acting. I mean, if you have great writing and great acting, you can. I hate to say this but it's true. If you have great writing and great acting, you can have terrible music, terrible photography, terrible sound effects, terrible everything, and it can still be a good movie. But if you don't have either great writing and great acting, you can have great music and great photography and stuff, and you can't have a great movie. So Orson Welles knew that.
Yeah. I was hoping that, we were going to have great performances, but I felt like because we were so small and intimate, we could be really nimble. And so when Pamela would say like that she was really feeling in the emotional space and zone for her scene, we were able to do things like just slyly kind of get the camera ready so that the emotion felt really organic and raw, which, those little moments, and everyone just really cared so much about her and this project and this story that we were all wearing many different hats and Jamie's moving gear around. And so I felt in that essence that we were making something special.
Well, and the style itself helped you because since the camera, it was a 60 millimeter film, right? And it was in the hands of your most able cinematographer. So if Pamela was about to have some moment that would be beautiful, you could count on the camera being there to get it. And I mean, I didn't mean to denigrate what photography does.
I think Autumn's in the audience.
Where is
too,
Auburn?
so.
Is she here? And we can.
Autumn she's shy. I think she is.
Well, she did a wonderful job, and the camera was in her hands the entire time. So it was the picture was handheld, except the cinematographer knew when to make it not seem handheld, which it did very beautifully. A lot of times a handheld movie is wandering all over the place and it's sort of chaos photographed by chaos. But in this case, when you needed a set shot, she had it set, and it could have been on a hi-hat or on a tripod because she held it so steady.
Yeah, I mean, partly why we were handheld too is just because we really wanted film. We felt like that texture is really obviously beautiful, but also sort of symbolic for the kind of metaphor of the film, how it kind of deals with the analog versus the digital, the out with the old, in with the new. So texturally, it kind of felt symbolic. But in order to do film is so expensive. So we had to sort of forego our lighting budget and everything else. So she just was like, I'll do whatever it takes to be film. I'll handhold it. But that also, I think, allowed us to be really fast at the same time and get a lot of setups in a short amount of time with a lot of actors.
For sure, you get more setups doing it that way. Just as a note to the folks here, that probably the greatest handheld director that I ever saw was Claude Lelouch, who was a master with that. He had that Eclair 35 millimeter camera, but he would hold it like that. And some of his films are astonishing how steady he can be when he has to be, but how quick he can be. But to do a film in 18 days with these beautiful, rich performances and the spectacle of Las Vegas is quite something I have to really compliment you, sweetie.
Thank you.
What do you think some kid out there who wants to be like you and make a film, what do you think that they would like us to talk about?
I was going to ask you that question of what do you have to offer for the next generation of film?
I mentioned that Orson Welles said that, he once said, whether you won't believe it or not, that you could learn everything. He was a theater director and, of course, a radio performer and director. He famously was the first, I think he was famous for doing The Shadow. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of man? The shadow does. That was Orson Welles for a while. Radio, I remember radio. You guys don't remember radio. But then he did, of course, the Mercury Playhouse and scared the world with his Invasion from Mars. But when he got the chance to make a movie, he said, you can learn everything you have to about a movie in a weekend, except for acting and writing. So that's where I heard. I was not original in saying it. But I do believe it. And Wells demonstrated it, making one after another, Citizen Kane, Magnificent Ambersons, and a slew of great movies, having been really a theater director and a radio director. In fact, of the greatest source of people becoming directors, you would think it's not screenwriters, it's not assistant directors or production people, it's actors. If you think of the history of cinema being, what it is, 18 something or other, those geniuses who invented the cinema were pretty much actors or magicians, interestingly.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's still true today,
What director was a magician?
Huh?
I guess all directors are like magicians, but what directors?
Well, Méliès was a magician.
Oh, yeah.
They were, but, You know, when you direct a film, there's always one actor in the group who's giving tips to everyone. You know, the odds are he will emerge. But look at even a great actor like Charles Lawton directed one movie, and it was a masterpiece. It was of course, unfortunately, not successful commercially, so he never got to do another one. But The Night of the Hunters, amazingly beautiful film. So you know, the actors. You know, one thing I don't like so much, and I'm curious your opinion, is people say, well, that director got a great performance out of the actor, and I don't think that's true. I think the actor does it all, and the director is like a good coach that's able to say something at the right moment that's just what is needed. You know, so, but I mean, if there's a great performance, it was a great actor who did it. A story that illustrates that is, I heard once, I worked with Gene Hackman, who famously did the French Connection. And he said to me that when he did the French Connection, he didn't know what he was doing. He had a funny hat, he had a funny voice, but he was lost. And one morning he went to what now famous ubiquitous craft service, and he took a donut and he dunked it in a cup of coffee and took a bite and threw the donut on the ground, and a voice said, "That's him." And it was Billy Friedkin watching him. And Hackman said when he said that he's the kind of guy who takes one bite from the dunk of coffee and throws it on the ground. He said, I knew who I was. So that's the one sentence the director can give that helps the actor the most. I
remember you telling me that story, and I feel like that always stayed with me, of not feeling like I have to, I don't know, provide so much. And I feel like making movies out of this project, especially, I just appointed like my close friends from high school, and you know, my cousin, my aunt was a script supervisor, and my mom was the costume designer, and it was just having just sort of appointing all these people that I trust, and then letting them do their job that they're such experts at, and letting it flourish. And with the actors, as you said, there's not that pressure to try to say too much. I can just kind of say one little thing and hopefully catch it.
Well, the truth of the matter is human beings have done the most brilliant of their work while playing with their kids. In other words, you think of what are the monumental things we did? Well, we invented the wheel. There's no example of a wheel in nature. There's no insect that has one. But you can be sure that they were playing with their kids, and the kids wanted to pull a little animal, and sure enough, they put wheels on, and then they looked and they said, well, let's make a big one like that. Or the Chinese invented fireworks to delight the kids, and that became the invention of gunpowder. And the Greeks had a steam engine that was, again, make it for fun for the kids. So when we play, we're great, and that's why when we do plays, which is why they call it a play, or cinema should be play, because then you get all your family together, and in this case, it was your real family, and even people say, why are so many Coppolas do this stuff? It's because in the summer we used to play. In the summer we would say, okay, this summer we're going to write songs, and this summer we're going to do one-act plays. You were in on that.
I was just a kid, but I remember you had everyone do one-act plays, and Sophia directed one, Roman directed one, and everyone was in it.
And Jason Schwartzman had written one, a great one for such a young kid. And except everyone had to be in the other plays, because it was just, we were going to invite neighbors and stuff to see the plays, but everyone had to be in everyone else's plays. So Jason was in Sophia's. She made
Bernice bobs her hair.
Bernice bobs her wig. Scott Fitzgerald, and Jason was in it. And when Wes Anderson was saying, I've been looking for someone for this movie Rushmore, Sophia said, well, my cousin Jason, he's a writer, but he was really funny and he got the part. So basically play together, play with your family, play with your friends. We shouldn't be working at all. Work is toil. Let the robots do the toil. We should play together because that's when we're the most creative, and certainly cinema, which is the child of the theater. The theater is thousands of years old, but it's what we do together that's fun, that makes it so creatively rich. And
yeah, I feel like I learned that from you and on this project too. Just every challenge felt like play. And I remember even grandmommy saying, like, I remember when I was younger, I was griping about some job and she was like, you're so lucky to get to work and have those creative opportunities and enjoy it. And it's so true. And I remember also working on one of your sets and we were driving home and you didn't want to drive your car anymore, so you had me drive it, but it was stick shift, and I'd never driven stick shift before, and it was nighttime on a windy, mountainous road, and you said, and I was nervous, and the gas light was then flashing, and you just added to it saying, wouldn't it be funny if a deer jumped out? And it's like, you kind of instill these amazing stories you're always telling us, and just also making light out and fun out of even the most sort of nerve-wracking moments, so that to know that not to worry until, there really is something to worry about. And even then, maybe it'll be an interesting.
That's good advice for the director, because maybe, you're in it and it really looks bleak and hopeless and interest is 21% and the picture's going over budget and everyone hates the dailies and stuff like that. And, you say, well, what the hell? It turns out to be The Godfather. You never know. And we're human beings. We're geniuses. There's nothing we can't do if we play and use that part of us, because that's the best part of us. So let me see. Does anyone have a good suggestion that the audience would like to hear some stories about? I'll repeat it so everyone can hear. You tell me. He's asking if the girls had dance lessons.
Yeah, so we did dance lessons. We had a choreographer, Greg Butler, who did the dance choreography for Kiernan's provocative dance, and then Shelly's audition. But the rest of it, all the background dancers are from the real Jubilee show and from Gita Von Teese's show. So they really taught us how to kind of do the quick changes and how to wear and put on the costumes and the etiquette with that. But Jamie's dance was a really spur of the moment thing where, because we're working in a live casino, and casinos don't stop for movies, they want to keep their money coming in. So she was just observing one of the waiters doing their job. But at the casino we were working at, they have what you call a bevertainer. And so in between serving drinks, they really want to be dancers or singers. So one of them was doing their dance on this podium, and she was just Jamie was sort of just watching, kind of doing research for her role. But I took it, and we have two different versions of this story, but I took it as though, maybe, do you want to do a dance? And she said I was adamant and forced her to get on the stage. But it was just, it was a spur of the moment thing. And she was like, well, if Annette's going to dance, her song is Total Eclipse of the Heart, because the casino's always playing music. It's sensory overload. And it was one take, just kind of on the whim. And she gave all that energy for just that. And I was like, well, now I got to figure out a way how to get the license for this song, because this moment was so amazing.
Good. We have another question for our director here. Yes. How long did it take to put all the cast together, and once you had Pamela?
It was quite fast. I mean, I had met Dave Bautista maybe 7 years ago on a general meeting. And in that conversation, he told me how he really wants to do dramatic acting. And that always stayed with me. And when this project came about and I thought of him, and I just DM'd him on Instagram, and I was like, I have this script. And I was fortunate in that he got back to me right away and gave me his number, and I could kind of avoid all the sort of side hustle. But he loved the script, but he kind of brought much more heart and soul and empathy for the female characters and beyond than what I sort of envisioned, which I was so excited by. And he was like the one that was like, I think my character should have a wig. And I wasn't sure about Dave Bautista with hair. And then he showed me a picture, and I was really excited. And you've always taught me this as well, of that your actors start to know the characters better than you, and to sort of run with their ideas in some sense. And another note too, just for directors, is when I approached Pamela, I got turned down within an hour, which was record time of rejection. But I knew that maybe in that short amount of time, she probably didn't get to read it. So I saw that on her documentary, her son was an executive producer. So I've asked anyone and everyone, do they know Brandon Lee? How can I get in touch with him and get him the script? And I found a way. He got the script, and then he sort of vetted me, wanted to make sure that, she was going to be in good hands. And when she read the script, she loved it, and we got in touch, but she was sort of selling herself to me, and I was confused because I was like trying to get her involved into the project. But I think in terms of casting, it's just been, I had all these sort of people in mind, and people who I wanted to get to know in how they related to the character, rather than them just sort of rehearsing and so forth.
Yes, young lady. She's asked to talk about the scene with the mouse. Yeah.
In the script, I had asked Kate if there could be kind of like a playful moment, or what would be something sweet and I remembered a moment with Aunt Tally, actually, where I was staying with her while I was at school, and a mouse went by, and she's very animated, and she got up on the table and started dancing. And it was just a fond memory that I thought, oh, what if we kind of implemented this? But then Kate was like, well, what if it was just sort of an imaginary mouse? And that was sort of a childlike game that they played. And there was other little things, like that house in particular was the Dirty Circus girls' actual house. And it was so much of it was already like that. And when we were scouting, she said something, oh, the hidey holes where the gangsters used to hide the money. And I was like, that's such an amazing line. But I guess that house used to be owned by a gangster, and then the owner before her had hit all these holes in the wall trying to find gangsters' money. And so I was like, well, Pamela's got to say hidey holes at some point.
So this script was written by basically a relative of yours. You said it was a play at first?
Yeah. So Kate Gersten is my cousin Matt Shire's wife. And
that's Talia Shire's oldest son.
Yeah. And I was... he knew I loved Las Vegas, and he was like, who else loves Las Vegas as much as you do is his wife, Kate, and that she actually wrote a play 10 years ago while she was at Juilliard, where she observed the sort of final years of the Jubilee show. And when I read it, I was just really struck with that world. I didn't realize that the showgirl icon is such a symbol of Las Vegas, yet that show doesn't exist. And the production value of those shows and the costumes were so beautiful. And the fact that it was a play, I was really craving to make a movie in an intimate way where I didn't need a lot. And a play was a great structure because it's not a lot of locations and it's not a lot of cast. And
so did you see a screenplay from Kate, or the play and then together you worked on the screenplay?
No, I saw the play and then I approached her about doing it as a movie, but she had already had a screenplay. So then I just said, we'll just make it a little bit more like the play again.
So can you talk more about working with your family? What is that a good thing? What are the bad parts of that? I don't think there are. Everyone, I mean.
Well, it's good when you can be annoying and they still love you. So I feel like we all have our family squabbles, but then it's still just fine because it's just, like brotherly love. Robert Schwartzman is my cousin who's like my brother. And he would throw some funny curveballs.
And you have another person to look up to in your family who is Sophia.
Yes.
That's
my aunt.
Her aunt is Sophia, Aunt Sophia.
Yeah. Well, and I was a kid and really getting to see her make movies, and seeing her do it really in her demeanor and what's true to her, like her personality, and seeing a woman director, I feel like that was really the first female director I'd ever seen.
Interestingly, just as a note, some of you know this and don't know this. My teacher was Dorothy Arzner, who was Miss Arzner was the most extraordinary woman. She directed all those films in the 30s, with Katharine Hepburn and all the great actresses. And she was the only woman director. In fact, when she went, she's the one that had trouble where to put the microphone, because in the early sound they kept putting it in the flowers and, as you've seen in Singing in the Rain, but she's the one who put it on a painter's pole and invented the light pole. So Ms. Arzner was an extraordinary person and director, and I learned one of the things I learned from her, which is very important in this age of video, it says, please rap. So I'll rap with of course, Jerry Lewis is the person who invented the video assist. He did it on those because he was both directing and acting in them. And as a student, I saw him do that. And so I sort of resuscitated video assist when I did and on One from the Heart. But interesting thing, Miss Arzner said, always sit in the same place next to the camera, because not only is that the best view, but you're also right by the cameraman, and he's looking through the camera and he has a good opinion. But mainly it's so the actors can see you, because they're doing it for you. And if you're off in some video tent a half a mile away, they don't know who they're doing. You hear a voice at the end saying, "That's good, do it again with more energy." The director, I have a video assist, but I keep it on the floor and I sit next to the camera because, as Miss Arzner said, the actors are doing it for you. And if they can't see you, then they're greatly limited. So I end with that thought for you.
Well, I'll just end cherry on top with that is that I remember you taught me that. And so on this project, because we were small and my family was all the crew and so forth, I was adamant that we did not have any video village, and that the only monitor was my little clamshell that I had in front of, next to the camera, next to Autumn, and no playback, and only I could see it. And that was really such a luxurious blessing to just kind of really have that intimacy and be the only one.
Well, that's advice from Miss Arzner. I'll give you another fast story of Miss Arzner. She was an editor in silent pictures she did Covered Wagon, and she told me in silent picture you used to actually, since there was no soundtrack, your arm was your measurement. And she said, if there's a kiss in a movie, that's a respectable kiss, but 2 arms is a very committed kiss, and 3 arms is a very sexy kiss. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Very proud of her.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. The Director's Cut is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share, subscribe, rate, and review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow film buffs find the show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America